This is Sheriff Spotlight with the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office, highlighting the office and deputies dedicated to providing law enforcement services and maintaining the trust and support of Rockingham County citizens, all while keeping neighborhoods and communities safe.
Good morning, Rockingham County. This is Sheriff Spotlight with the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office, and thank you for tuning in to our February 2022 edition. I'm your host for today's show, Lieutenant Kevin Southard, and in the studio with me today, as always, is Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page.
Good morning, and glad to be here.
Now, Sheriff, I figured we would kick off the show today talking about your recent trip to the National Sheriff's Conference.
Well, every year I'm able to go to the winter conference in Washington, D.C. They hold the conference at the J.W. Marriott Hotel. Mm-hmm. And we usually have several sheriffs from all across America. Now, what's really good about it is you get to interface with them, some of these sheriffs. Some of them known for several years, mm-hmm. but you get to interface with sheriffs from different parts, and you get to see the differences we experience, but also you get to see the similarities we experience.
Right. Facing some of the same issues.
And you're going to be surprised that a lot of things, if you're a sheriff in Nebraska or you're a sheriff in Washington State, we're all doing a lot of similar activities and stuff like this. But also you can learn about some new crime prevention things that maybe we're working on in different places, some type of community relations involvement. They might be working in some different places. Good interaction. But the other thing I like about the class, and I tried to get in as many seminars as I could, but they have little mini seminars mm-hmm. on different things to help benefit you in your operations, general operations as a sheriff. You know, as a sheriff, I'm primarily responsible for civil process. Mm-hmm. We're responsible for the courts, mm-hmm. and we're responsible for the jails. And this time in this class, or these classes, I attended several that deal with working with patients, or not patients, but working with inmates that may have medical issues, mental health issues, or addiction issues. Mm-hmm. And primarily addiction issues, because, you know, one of the responsibilities as sheriff is that when you have people that come into your jail, my responsibility is to make sure that persons that come into jail are looked after and protected until they transition out. Mm-hmm. And that may require not only safety issue, but also health and mental health and dealing with addiction issues. Mm-hmm. So we had some great classes. We had some doctors in there that deal with addiction issues and how they treat persons that are in custody. One class they talked about were females pregnant that had opioid addictions and how to deal with those, because one thing I learned is detoxing, letting a person come off those substances and not maintaining that person in could be very dangerous to the female inmate and the baby.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah. So it's a lot of liability when you run a jail. A lot of liability in the sheriff's office, but the biggest high liability area we have is in our jail system.
Now I want to circle back to that in just a minute, but tell us some of the other things that you did while you were in Washington, D.C. I know you had you got together with the National Sheriff's Border Security and Immigrations Committee.
Right.
Member of that, you guys met, right?
Right, on Saturday. It's about a 4-day event, but on Saturday, Saturday we met with some of our committee members, but we actually had a big meeting on Monday, mm-hmm. and we met with sheriffs that exist on our, and we've probably got 20 sheriffs from around the country. A lot of border sheriffs, but a lot of sheriffs that are not on the border, mm-hmm. including myself from Rockingham County. I've been on the Border Security Committee for at least 10 years. And we had the chief of the Border Patrol, his name is Raul Ortiz, and he is the Border Patrol chief that runs all the Border Patrol for the United States. Mm-hmm. And he spoke, and he talked about a lot of the challenges they're dealing with. He talked about, he did mention that, let everybody know that although he has policy that comes from above that he has to administrate, is that he still supports and stands behind his people, mm-hmm. including, there was a lot of controversy with the Horse Patrol unit. Right. He said, I want to let you know one thing, I support the Border Patrol and our Horse Patrol units. Mm-hmm. So I think they're still waiting for the Office of Inspector General's report on an incident that occurred down at the border down in Del Rio, Texas, stuff like this. But I did ask him a question, and one of the biggest questions that I've always had for several years is the Mexican drug cartel. They're a multi-billion-dollar business, and their drug movement, and also trafficking in human beings and stuff like this. And they make a lot of money. They're very vicious, and they control the 1,900-mile southern border with Mexico and the United States. And so I've asked Secretary Napolitano this question under President Obama in a meeting, and I've also asked this with the chief, is when are we ever going to declare the Mexican drug cartel a narco-terrorist organization, a terrorist organization, because of all the vicious things that they're involved in toward people in Mexico, and the product that they're moving across here, which a lot of the illegal drugs that are taking lives every day across America, including Rockingham County.
Exactly.
And so the thing about it is I don't get a whole lot of response on that. And I know that based on this, he did say that we do have people that are working. We have people that are working with Mexico, but we just don't get a whole lot more information. As a chief investigator, not chief investigator, but as a chief law enforcement officer for Rockingham County, I want to know how those drugs that are coming through that border and getting into our counties and getting across the state, how it gets here and how it's impacting us, and what can we do to counter that, to stop it, to stop the flow. And the Border Patrol is really your first line of defense coming into this country.
Absolutely.
So if we help them, my message is if we help them, we help us.
Putting it into perspective, the deaths across America from fentanyl and heroin related uses.
They're
exactly.
up.
I believe they were at 70,000 or so last year across America.
I'm not sure the number, but he did say that the methamphetamine movement across our border is up, and also our fentanyl is up. A lot of times our fentanyl is coming out of China to Mexico, and then being put together there, precursors there, drugs, and then when it gets there, they put it together and then ship it into the United States.
Now we're talking about that, you get attention for your efforts at the border to kind of secure the border and stop that flow of drugs, but I think what you don't hear mentioned about your efforts are toward the addiction part of it, which you work toward trying to get funding for, stuff like you've said, a supply and demand problem.
Right.
You've got to do away with the demand if you're ever going to help to affect the supply as well.
Yeah, you've got to reduce the demand, the persons with addiction. You can't arrest that away.
No.
You've got to reduce the demand for people that depend on that drug here in the United States, here in Rockingham County, and then you've also got to interdict and stop the flow. So you've got to cover both.
It's twofold.
It's supply and demand, and so that is a big problem. I had the opportunity to go up on Capitol Hill and meet with Senator Burr, Senator Tillis, and also Patrick McHenry, who's our congressman, and to have some of the similar discussions. And but one of my takeaways, particularly, and I've talked with Patrick McHenry several times. Good congressman, does a lot of good things here, and I also had some good conversation with Senator Burr and Senator Tillis. But the big takeaway that I got was we need to hear more communication from Washington to the local level. We need to know what our persons and their roles in Congress are doing to help us here locally. It's just like I want to know what threats are coming from the other areas into our community so I can better serve our community here in Rockingham County.
Right.
Likewise, we need that communication outside coming in because there are grant opportunities. There are a lot of different things that are going on between the federal government and the local government. But my responsibility to the people of Rockingham County, but their responsibility are the people of North Carolina, including Rockingham County.
Right.
So the guarantee was, Senator Tillis said he was going to work with me on communications, and I told him I appreciate it. We just need to know kind of what's going on there so it can help us here in Rockingham County.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate, and I said likewise, if we have issues or problems that I can bring to you or even solutions, we're going to do that too. So it's a back and forth communications.
Communication's key.
And that's the whole key.
Exactly.
So that was the takeaway: is better communication between here and Washington and back.
Now we've talked about the supply and demand, the addiction problem. We've talked about some of the things that you learned about the liabilities for the jail and the treatment programs that are coming online now, but you've been working on a program here for the last year that is finally coming to fruition here about putting some mental health professionals
In the jail.
here.
Yeah.
They would be staffed by our local mental health
Right,
Cardinal,
Daymart. Yeah.
and
Formerly Cardinal, yeah.
yeah, and they would be on hand to help us to try to tackle some of these problems.
Right. The short version is this: I recognized a long time ago that are we providing? Like I told you, I have a responsibility to protect and look after people in my jail. That means looking after means safety and protection. It means medical, looking after. It means looking after mental health, looking after them. And then, of course, if they have addiction, got to deal with that too. So on the mental health side, I wanted to make sure we've had a person there that's been working a minimum amount of hours, but just a small amount of hours in our jail throughout the week. I wanted full-time persons that are working in the jail, and we were able to put together, working with Keith Duncan and working with Sandhills, our mental health LME, we were able to get funding. I think it was $280,000 for a 2-year project to hire 2 master's level clinicians to work with our inmate population. The thing about it is, a lot of times our jails are becoming a first point of contact for care, whether it be any of those topics I said, medical, mental health, or other. And so if that's a first point of contact, then we need to take advantage of the opportunity to work with those persons to try to connect them to services, stabilize them when they're with us, and then connect them to services when they get out. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to break that cycle of addiction, trying to support that mental health need and also any medical needs, but connect them to a service so that when they leave our facility, it's a better chance that they'll connect up with an area mental health provider, connect up with their medical side or addiction treatment and control.
Get the help that they need.
Yeah, get the help.
What resources are available to
We're
them?
just trying to be that bridge. But while those persons are incarcerated in our jail, and we can house up to 232 persons, we average about 180. I want to make sure we're doing our part to keep those persons stabilized until they transition from our facility. Now, on those clinicians, one clinician, my understanding, will be full-time working in the jail model. The other will be interfacing with that person and ability to go out into the community. So if we have persons that have addiction issues and stuff like this, a way I envision is one of my detectives will work with the clinician that goes out into the field model to try to help connect those persons. You know, we deal with a lot of overdose cases.
Right.
And the thing about it is, if you never tell a person or offer them the information how to get off the substance, they may never. If you never talk to their family, they may never. And I know one thing for sure: if someone overdoses on fentanyl, and a lot of times we don't get there with the Narcan to save their life, they die. If the family member doesn't have a Narcan dose in their house, they die. Addiction can be a lifelong issue that you deal with, and you got to start somewhere. So, you know, as sheriff, I said, you know what? I've got a lot of people in my jail. A lot of people have those issues that we talked about, and it's got to start somewhere. And if we don't fix it on the front end, we're going to pay on the back end.
Exactly.
And I want to break that cycle of addiction and reduce that number of addiction and reduce that demand in this county. And I'd like to see that happen across the country, because if we reduce the demand, then the cartel in Mexico, they have to find ways to seek money elsewhere.
Right.
Now they're doing human trafficking and they're doing human smuggling. They don't care, but from $6,000 to $18,000 a person, they contract to get brought across the border into our country. And the thing about it is, what happens to a lot of the girls, young girls that come through that their parents pay their money to send them up here? A lot of those girls are sexually assaulted and abused. It's very inhumane. When I see little children that are brought across the border area and dropped over fences or left just once they get them across the border, they're left to fend for themselves. That's child abuse. That's cruelty. That's a lot of those factors. But I want to do my part here to protect. But if we do things here, we can affect things down there too.
Right. It's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street.
Exactly. Now, recently you heard about some New York City police officers that have been displaced here. I believe their vaccine mandates came up that date, and several have lost their jobs at this point because they did not want to, for whatever reason, vaccinate.
Right.
But
it was not their choice.
Exactly. Right. You sent a proposal, an alternative to them, those workers. Why don't you tell us about that?
You know, I said, look, I've been watching TV, and I'm just like everybody else. I watch TV, I monitor and see what's going on around the country, and the vaccine mandate has cost a lot of jobs. You know, a year or so ago, when they didn't have the vaccine, our nurses and our frontline medical people were heroes. Now, if a person doesn't take the vaccine,
they're villainized.
They're villainized.
Yeah.
And that's got to stop in America. That divide has got to stop. And but I saw in some of the larger jurisdictions, like New York City, for example. Everybody knows where New York City, New York City Police Department, premier police department, and great people, but their leadership, you know, with the mandates, people are losing their jobs, and it's not just the police department, but other areas in the city. Workers are losing their jobs because they will not take the shots. So I sent a message out to media sources to say, listen, we have some openings here in different areas in our agency. You know, we don't pay a whole lot, but there are a lot of benefits in Rockingham County. So we sent that message out. And you remember some of the wording from it?
Oh, yes. We have beautiful weather.
Welcome.
Yeah, we have beautiful
welcome
weather
to Rockingham
here.
County.
Yes. The cost of living is much less than in New York City. And we still believe in freedom of choice here. And that's something that you've stood by throughout.
You know,
we do not have a vaccine mandate at the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office. That's something that you've opposed.
The county does not support. I do not support a mandate. Although I've had COVID and I've taken the vaccine. That was my choice.
And you support the vaccines and recommend them. I've heard you doing it.
But I believe in choice. I believe your personal health is your choice. So anyway, we sent the message out. And so I don't know, we may not ever get any callbacks or responses, but if a person seeing this podcast, if you're from New York or any other place, you're looking to resettle to a wonderful, beautiful county in North Carolina, Rockingham County, maybe that county you want to come to, Rockingham County is a good place. And a nice place.
Exactly.
And again, so if you're interested, all you have to do is contact the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office, 336-634-3232. I'm Sheriff Sam Page, and we're looking for...
And they can apply online as well, rockinghamsheriff.com.
That's right. And we send that message out we take applications electronically all over North Carolina, all over the community. We've got a great college here where we run our basic law enforcement academy. But we've also noticed this over the past couple of years. We've noticed the numbers going down. So it's a lot of emphasis, a lot of negative we've seen over the past few years toward law enforcement. And I think part of that is driving that situation. So we're looking for qualified men and women to come to the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office. Hey, check us out. You might be interested. Check out our website, Rockingham County Sheriff, rockinghamsheriff.com. I'm sorry.
rockinghamsheriff.com.
And come see us.
That's right, and we're also looking for some detention officers.
Oh yes, oh yes. I know in New York they got Rikers Island up there and stuff like this. But if you're detention or you're interested in detention or you're detention certified in North Carolina, give us a shout. You've got my phone number.
Absolutely. All right. Now let's talk about Crime Stoppers. They do a lot for the law enforcement here in Rockingham County.
Recent conversation.
Exactly.
I'll go into it. Recent conversation is when we have major crime stuff like this. I know that the Crime Stoppers of Rockingham County indicate that they'll pay up to $1,000 cash for information, tip information on cases that occur, and also you're anonymous. But the thing about it is I know that our Crime Stoppers board work hard every year. They sell those Boston butts around Thanksgiving to raise money. I know myself and some of the local police departments where we seize money, asset forfeiture money, we've donated where we can do that. We've provided money from asset forfeiture to help build that bank so that when they need to draw money down to pay off some of these cash rewards, they have the ability to do so. But we still need help from people in Rockingham County, our citizens. If you want to help us to solve crimes in Rockingham County and you want to help us out, support Crime Stoppers in Rockingham County. 501c3. And again, like I said, we appreciate any donations. If they're interested in making a donation, Kevin, how can they do that?
Well, they can contact me here at the Sheriff's Office, 336-634-3232.
That's for Kevin Southern?
Exactly. Or you could drop your donation off or send your donation here to the Sheriff's Office. It's a volunteer program. The board is made up, the Rockingham County Crime Stoppers Board is we meet here at the Sheriff's Office, and it's kind of loosely based here. The mail gets sent here and stuff like that, and I give it to them when we meet and such. But they're all volunteers, and but if you want to make a donation, you can send that donation here. Just put care of Crime Stoppers of Rockingham County.
And you'll get
if you're an individual or business and you write a check, Rockingham County Crime Stoppers or Crime Stoppers of Rockingham County, just fill it out like that. And whatever you want to give, those donations go directly to payouts to people that give tips on crimes. These volunteers are just that. They're volunteers. They're not paid. They give
so
up
all
their time
money,
to come help
all
out.
money comes in to Crime Stoppers goes to pay out for people for tips and stuff like this.
Exactly.
You know what?
Right.
We want to catch all them bad guys and stuff like this. We need your support. I remember when Crime Stoppers just started back in the very early 80s. It is very important. It's crucial. Some people can't come forward, but this gives them a way anonymously to report a crime that's occurred, and particularly serious crimes where we've had loss of lives and serious injuries, stuff like this,
Exactly.
or massive property theft. We want to solve these cases, but sometimes, Crime Stoppers is where we get a lot of our tips. We appreciate it. If you support Crime Stoppers, we appreciate you. You want to make a donation to Crime Stoppers, Rockingham County. I want to get that plug in because it's very important, because from time to time we have some really serious cases that I think that if we had a little bit of cash there, a little more cash there, that people would be more apt to come through and stuff like this. But we appreciate your support.
That's
All
right.
Kim? We
That's
got it?
right.
We covered?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Now, several nights here in the past few weeks, you've been out at our local high schools supporting conference games, I understand. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, I'm going to give you a little shout out. I started watching the girls volleyball team during the conference playoffs and stuff like here at McMichael. Oh, it was tremendous. Great job.
Very competitive.
Women's volleyball, it is something. They're fast. It moves fast. Did a great job. Shout out to McMichael here. Reesville High School football ended up in the playoffs, although they didn't win the championship. They did a great job. I shout out to you. The Reesville Rams did a great job. Of course, Rockingham has done a great job. All of our high schools, stuff like this. Of course, last night, Reesville and Moorhead High School from over in Eden, where I live. Great basketball game. Congratulations. All you guys played a great game last night. And I think the playoffs, basketball playoffs, will be this Friday. That Moorhead will play whoever is the winner of the next game coming up today or tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to Friday to see some great basketball. Last night it was wonderful. Reesville, Moorhead, they were at it. All the kids were playing hard, playing good ball. And again, like I said, you can't have one winner, but I think you're all winners. You're doing a great job. So we support all our high school athletics, and I'm blessed because I have 4 high schools in the county and a charter school.
All right.
So everybody's playing good.
All right.
And if you get a chance, come out and support the kids at the high school level, whether you go to McMichael, Moorhead, Reesville, or Rockingham, or Bethany Charter. Make sure you support your high school athletics. It means a lot.
I, like so many people, are just excited about the fact that the kids are able to get back together and play.
Well, that's another thing is
now.
when if you go back about 2 years ago, when we had the lockdown in 20 and stuff, and you started seeing where you couldn't go anywhere, you had to wear the mask, you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't have
only one parent to a lot of games was allowed in the room.
Well, all the different events.
If at all, yeah.
I feel for everybody in Rockingham County and across this country, across the state, they had to go through all that. But seeing things open back up and seeing kids back together and stuff like this, and I felt like the kids lost something back then. But hey, hopefully they're being able to get it back. But I can tell you right now, high school sports, kids are plugged in, families are there, great support. But again, continue to support your athletics, whether it be elementary, middle school, or high school. Continue to support athletics because it means a lot.
Now, recently we have seen a spike in vehicle break-ins across the county.
Yeah.
What is your advice to vehicle owners?
We're starting to come back and have our community watch meetings again. Everybody's starting to come back together. But we had this a few years ago up in the western part of the county, and you and I met. I mean, you and I was at the same community watch meeting, and the best advice I can tell you is most times that people go into cars, they're left unlocked. If your car is in your driveway and your garage and the garage door's open or whatever, if you leave things unlocked and a criminal has the intent, they may go in your vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay, when I hear the word break-in, what I really want to know is, was the cars unlocked or locked? And most times they're not.
99% of the time they're not.
Some of the
they
jurisdictions,
don't want to bust glass and make
right.
noise. Yes.
Some of the jurisdictions have around that I've seen have logos, slogans, and all this stuff. But let me just say this: if you want to reduce your chance of crime and being victimized, particularly in your personal belongings, your vehicles, lock your vehicles. Lock it.
And take your possessions, any valuables, inside the house with you in the evenings, or at least lock them in the trunk. When we do,
don't create a temptation.
The very rare instances that we see, window breakage into a car,
very few.
It was because there was a target in there so good that the thief couldn't pass it by. Laptops, firearms, purses, that kind of thing. It was too good.
And don't
to
think
pass by.
Don't think it can't happen to you. So what we're saying with some of these recent car break-ins stuff, and we've seen them around the county and stuff like this, is at home, if you have garage doors, even during the daytime, put them down. Because sometimes the bad guys drive by and are looking for crimes of opportunity. Also, at night, and when you come in at night, stuff like this, lock your cars. If you have valuables, get them out of your car and bring them in the house. Secure your vehicles, because the bad guys are out there at night. Have you ever had a situation where you put stuff, I'm gonna be real quick, where you put stuff on the side of the road to be picked up that you've discarded?
For the trash to pick up, yeah.
I mean, I've put TV sets and old computer screens and stuff, I've put them out there on the curb, and the next morning they'll be gone before the recycling people come to pick them up. Remember this, bad guys ride around at different times looking for crimes of opportunity. Don't give them the opportunity. Secure your property, secure your house, and secure your vehicle at night. That's one way to reduce the chances of being victimized, and we appreciate you listening to what we have to say.
Locking your doors, whether it be your cars or your
Lock it when you leave it. Lock it when you leave it.
Don't leave your garage doors open.
That's right. All right, what else we got?
Well, I want to take a minute to point out that I received information that the Rockingham County Health Department had received a grant for $5,000 to give out car seats to those in need. Go to their website, just search the Rockingham County Health Department there.
Or you can just go to the Rockingham County government website. Remember, there's Rockingham County, Virginia, there's Rockingham County, New Hampshire.
And Georgia.
In Georgia, you got to go to Rockingham County,
NC,
North Carolina,
yes.
North Carolina, NC, and check out our website, because all the different departments and sheriff's office, all of them are listed in there, and you can just click to them. But the Rockingham County Health Department is providing car seats.
Well, and you've got to fill out a form
to
get that. It's not something that you just go and ask for one or anything like that. So you've got to get pre-approval to receive one. But I thought that was very cool.
Last thing, if you're out and you're consuming any alcohol, it's not just New Year's. If you're out consuming any alcohol, make sure you don't drive. Don't drink and drive. It's very dangerous. Make sure you have a designated driver. We'll be out there watching.
Absolutely. And with that, our show is coming to an end. We thank you for tuning in, as always, and we will see you again next month for our March edition of Sheriff Spotlight. We'll see you then.
Thank you.